Hello, everyone. If you notice that I have to swipe, hold on. I have to swipe because for some reason, it glitches if I don't. If I just sit here normally, it'll glitch. If I sit back here, it'll glitch. So I have to like put my fingers right there and then swipe just about the time I think the picture is going to appear. Makes no sense. To everyone else, hi. Welcome back. I'm Kris. This is part three of True Crime with Emma Kenny. He killed over 400 children. Louis Garavito. I don't care if I say his name wrong. Who cares? Dick Saint Murderer. That's his name. Who cares? Who gives a turkey? I'm not worried about him. I'm not a child. Thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you would. You want to donate to the channel? Fantastic. Request a video, and your name sponsors that video. This is not. I've been a little disappointed with the video. I'll be honest. I should have covered the casual criminalist because he does more. She's just talking. Okay. I mean, it's pretty much me doing the same thing. But we'll finish the video. Go ahead and start part three right now.
And that's where we begin to start making some changes and traction to this case. And in February 1998, we have the big breakthrough because an 11-year-old and a 13-year-old are found dead on a hill just outside the town of Genova. They were both friends. They were kids who went out selling chewing gum on the streets, anything that could support their families, which just breaks my heart. You know, these children are out there working, 11 and 13 years of age, trying to support their poor families, and they get murdered by this hideous human being. And it's not just that they get murdered, it's that every parent who knows that their child was murdered by this monster knows how they were murdered. Every parent who loves their child would give up their breath immediately. They would lie down and die immediately to protect their child at all costs. For any parent to know that their child has been so heinously, horrifically, brutally murdered in this way, it's something that I think would kill me. I often try to put myself in the position of people that I've worked with in the past, you know, who've had people murdered in their families. And whenever it comes to a child, I just can't imagine carrying on. It blows my mind when I watch parents manage it, you know, manage it in their pain, you know, and their dignity to continue. But I just think that my brain wouldn't be able to compute that kind of bloody end for my child. Now,
It wouldn't be able to compute also if afterwards you were told, okay, your child was killed, right? And then you're just like, gut wrenching as it is. And then you're told, hey, we've captured the person. And you're like, all the joy in the world, right? And then you find out that your child was one of potentially 399 other children. And then you're looking around at like all the other parents and you're saying, where were the police in all of this? Your child was killed 7 years ago. Because he said his reign only lasted 7 years. I mean, that's sorry. That was my throat. So you're saying, I mean, 350 kids. That's 50 a year. So, I mean, I mean, 420 kids would be 60 a year. So you're talking 55 plus. That's just quick math. Probably not very accurate. Um, I mean, what would it be? 55 is, oh, it's 50. It's, I mean, 55, 50. So you're talking 57 kids a year? 57 kids a year. Hold on. We're going to do the math right now. You're probably already doing it in your head, right? You know where I'm going. let's just start from the beginning. 400 divided by 7 is 57. I'm not going to do the 0.1, blah, 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 right? 57 kids. Hold on. That can't be right. I hope that's not right. 57 kids over 365 days is one child every 6.4 days. Oh my God. Oh my God. You're killing a kid. I mean, 57 kids, 52 weeks a year. You're killing a kid, one kid, less than every week. I don't know why, but that like really. When you say the number 400 kids, that's one thing, right? But when you put it in a number like that, one kid every 6.4 days, that's just. I really don't. I really don't even have words for that. Jesus. You know what? I'm gonna take a little break right now, cause wow. I'll be right back. Okay. Sorry about that. I guess when I put the numbers in perspective, it was. I think I don't know. It really just kind of hit. As disturbing as it is overall, when you look at it like that, it gets difficult. Now my dogs are gonna fight. Hold on. So, all right, back to the video.
Reason that the breakthrough occurs, it isn't amazing forensics, it isn't incredible police work, it isn't that some kind of incredible detective turns up and sorts the scene out like you see in the shows that we watch. No, it just happens to be that the idiot had left his own address on a piece of paper with the knife. Yeah, he had his girlfriend's address at the scene on a piece of paper with the knife. It leads back to Garavito's girlfriend. And when they go and search Garavito's girlfriend's house, guess what they find? They find a bag containing pictures of Garavito's victims. He kept them basically as trophies. And he also had dates and details of the killings. He was thorough in recording when, where, and how he'd murdered those kids. So basically he'd kept an inventory, which was extremely helpful for the police, so to speak, but gives you insight into the kind of man we're dealing with. He's an individual who doesn't just enjoy the killing, he enjoys recording and reliving the killing. That's why he's got the trophies. The trophies aren't there because he just wants to keep account. They are there because every time he looks at the picture of that child, he goes back to the memory. It's just a way of triggering that memory. So he keeps them because he wants to relive those painful last moments of that child that he was enjoying. The problem that we have is that, as we know, Garavito is hard to find. And before the police actually managed to catch him, he's gone again. And he claims more victims. In fact, from that moment onwards, they find the bones of 13 more children, and then another mass grave a few weeks after that discovery of another 12 victims. You know, he was prolific. I mean, it was a constant daily event. Imagine that, sometimes more than once a day. He was murdering, decapitating, torturing, dismembering, displaying children's corpses all over those areas for 7 years. And it was consistent. It blows your mind. This kind of a human being can exist, let alone get away with the killings that he got away with. In 1999, the reason that he actually gets stopped is a rough sleeper sees him trying to rape a 12-year-old boy. Now, at this moment in time, they don't know that they've got their serial killer because he's not got ID, and he even gives them a different name. But they hold him and they start digging deeper, and then basically when he's confronted with the evidence, and there is overwhelming evidence, including the fact that his ex-girlfriend or his girlfriend's address is in the mix. So we know that they knew it was him in that context. And secondly, that he's got all this memorabilia of the murders. So the police basically have got him banged to rights. At that point, he admits that he's a serial killer, Louis Garavito. He confesses. He obviously does the old, forgive me, God, and forgive me, mankind. Like, no. So it's a no, Louis. It's a God says no forgiveness. Society says no forgiveness. Apparently, you only get to make a few mistakes, and then it's a bit of a problem trying to get an apology for it. So, no, you're just condemned. It's only my own personal view, but I think we'll probably all agree with that right now, that as far as the old H-E-A-V-E-N goes, it's not for him. He'll be going down and meeting his own maker, which is a very different spelling. He admitted to killing 140 kids. 140 kids is what he admitted to across 11 provinces. And he actually managed to draw maps, but the truth is the police reconciled that it was over 300 to 400 children that he'd actually killed. And that was clear because of the bones that they found. You know, when they're adding up which child belongs to which child, and they're finding that there are more bones than he allegedly suggests that he had carried out murders of, they know that he's lying. And they're the ones that they found, aren't they? We've got a 7-year period, but we don't know. There's probably miles more children were murdered. So we know that he got away with this very effectively for a very long time. And I imagine he'd been killing for his whole life, or at least raping and molesting for a very long period of his life. We know that when he was being brought up, his father forced him to work instead of attending school. He wouldn't let him have a girlfriend. We know that Garavito left the family home in his mid-teens. He really struggled to hold down a job. He became an alcoholic. He dealt with quite severe depression. And he did talk about the fact that he had quite a lot of suicidal thoughts. And again, Dr. Beneke actually talked about the fact that even though he was an absolute typical psychopath and a sadist, he himself had some pretty awful things happen to him as a child. But noted that this terrible human being, this beast, this paedophile, did act specifically as a psychopath does, essentially somebody who acts only to benefit himself. He believes that he was an antisocial narcissist psychopath. That's a really clear indication of the kind of personality that we were dealing with this human being. And even though Dr. Beneke acknowledges that terrible childhoods don't always act as a prerequisite for this kind of behaviour, i.e. you don't have to have a terrible childhood to become a horrible serial killer, certainly he says that it added weight to this particular type of killing because he didn't have any kind of foundation of support in his world. He was kind of free falling, and also the kind of bumps and knocks that he got as a child probably led to a certain amount of rage, and certainly his own sexual experiences of abuse will have added confusion, but none of that gives any weight to the kind of actions that we see carried out. And as I say, I always stand by this. As far as I'm concerned, psychopaths on the whole are born. I think that they obviously have contributory factors that ends them up either being in the boardroom or in prison. But I definitely think that there is a predisposition as a psychopath. You're born genetically with that. Whereas most people, if they're born into terrible circumstances, just go on to actually damage themselves in the future or become great people who would do anything to protect those around them because they understand what it's like to be harmed. I think one of the most powerful things that Dr. Beneke said is that psychopaths don't know how to bond with other human beings. So they create these incredible fantasies in their mind about their victims. And then when they play out that fantasy, that feels like a bonding experience. And that was a different way of looking at it from my point of view. You know, I'm always learning, but the idea that this psychopath saw playing out those fantasies with those children as some kind of physical bonding and unity with the victim is just really hard for me to imagine, but a really different point of view, a really different perspective. It's helped me to think differently about it, that there is something so broken in their being that to connect in any way, they have to do it in this horrifically macabre and completely totalitarian as far as authority and aggression towards their victim is concerned. One of the things that strikes me about Garavito, and again, which is very much in line with psychopaths, is that he showed absolutely no remorse. Okay, he wanted God to forgive him, but he didn't actually show any remorse for any of the murders. He did say...
Whether it was 140 or 400, how do you show remorse? You don't. Remorse is, hey, I accidentally killed a child. Something happened. And I feel terrible about it because this child's no longer here because of me. 140, you're about 139 past remorseful. There's nothing that person's going to say that you're going to believe. I mean, she even said it. After he was caught, it was, oh, I want to go to heaven and, I'm so sorry, God, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, maybe he was remorseful in that moment. Everyone's remorseful when they're caught. Maybe he was, honestly, truthfully. But nobody believes it. I wouldn't believe it. And I don't care if you're remorseful. After you've killed 140 or 400, no. Your remorse means nothing.
Say that he wanted to really understand why he'd acted the way that he did, and he also argued that he would never kill again. I mean, there's that classic, I'll never do it again. If you let me out, I will never do it again. But obviously his whole premise was to try to coerce people into believing that he wasn't dangerous. Imagine that. Imagine being that narcissistic, that Machiavellian, that egotistical, that arrogant, that you actually think that a body count of 400 isn't going to potentially suggest to those around you that you might not be the kind of person who should get parole.
Yeah, but he's also had to deal with children. He's never had to deal with an adult. You can tell, he could have hurt a child along the way and then said to that kid, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. And the kid's going to be like, oh, okay, yeah. Because the kids are gullible. And one kid that you kill doesn't know that you've killed somebody else, doesn't know that you've killed somebody else who doesn't know that you've killed some. You didn't kill 140 kids at one time. You killed them individually. These kids don't have a common bond other than they were all killed by one person, but they didn't share an experience in terms of with other children. But the adults are looking at it saying, no, you don't deserve any of this we don't believe you. There's 140 to 400 reasons why we don't believe you. You could have lied to every single one of those children. But you won't lie to us. Kids, like I say, kids are gullible. Kids will believe it. Oh, he didn't mean to yell at me. He didn't mean to hit me. He didn't mean to do this. Not an adult. He might get away with that to one of my nephews 15 years ago. But he wouldn't get away with that with me 15 years ago because I'm still an adult. I can see through bullshit.
You know? But that's how a psychopath works. They genuinely believe that they are directing a play and they are in charge of all the players in that play. So even doctors that he's working with, he tries to manipulate. One of the things that Dr. Beneke said about his interviews with the Beast is that when 2 cups of coffee were brought for them, the Beast actually switched the coffee cup. And the reason that he did that was because he imagined that, understandably, there might be a fair few people who wanted to see him dead. So he felt that there was a potential that somebody would have poisoned the coffee. See how the psychopath thinks. He wasn't concerned that the doctor might die. You know, the idea that he thought there might be poison in that cup because he'd murdered all those children, it didn't stop him from just thinking, maybe I won't have the coffee. Could be poisoned. He was like, I'm having a coffee, and if that guy dies drinking my coffee, then at least I've had a coffee and I've not got poisoned. I've got one upon those people trying to kill me. You see how it works? Terrifying, right? And one of the things that also I think stands out.
On a side note, I'd love to have one of those cups. You've been poisoned. That's a great one.
In this case is he was really, really helpful for the police. Now, as we know, part of that is he wants to ingratiate himself to the police. Obviously, he's trying to make himself seem that he's very open and transparent and wanting to accept his crimes, so to speak, even though we know he isn't really feeling that way. But actually, he's just really clever. He wants all of the victims to be found so that he can be tried for them all at the same point. He's kind of looking at how to reduce his sentence. So it's not cooperation. It's just a really clever way of getting all the sentences merged into one. And it worked. It literally worked. So where are we now with this beast? Well, he's currently locked up in a maximum security prison, but he's actually up for parole in 2023. Did your head explode at this moment?
Give me just a second because I think things have changed. Okay. So I knew a little bit about this beforehand because of the person I was talking to. And so Alexa doesn't care what I'm doing. She's just going to interrupt me at 6:35 every day. What'd you say, bitch? So anyways, this was 3 years ago. It's 2025, so this is 2022, we're going to say. For anybody out there who's wanting to know, he's available for parole in 2023, she said. Unfortunately, breaking news. October 12th, 2023, I'm going to call him Louis Garavito. He went bye-bye in the box. He went R.I.P. He went, let me see, how do I phrase this? It doesn't really say. I thought the girl I was talking to said he had cancer. Does not say. But, yeah. Terrible news. I was just on this page. Hold on. I'm going to read to cancer. Sorry, I'll wave my hand. People don't want to. Okay. Oh, here you go. Dies serving a sentence. He confessed to his crimes and was sentenced to 2,000 Oh, he was sentenced in 2000 to a total of 835 years in prison. The maximum sentence that can be served in Colombia is 40 years. Garavito has since been diagnosed with cancer in an eye and leukemia. So, thanks, big guy. Yeah. Oh. He also confessed to crimes in Venezuela and Ecuador, and where he was sentenced to 22 years in prison in absentia. So, good. So, yeah. Died of cancer. Let's just have a quick moment of silence for him, and we're not going to do that.
Like, I know that it doesn't necessitate that he's definitely going to get out in 2023. But can we have a conversation about this?
No, he's dead.
This is a man responsible for murdering, mutilating, brutalizing, torturing children.
What? I didn't realize that's what this video was about. He's dead now. So, I can say those jokes. He's dead. He's never going to have a chance to go climb those steps up to the pearly gates. No, he's going to be burning in hell for eternity, hopefully being raped by a giant fiery prick of Satan.
And he might get parole at some point.
He's not going to.
There are people in America who were in situations where they were with somebody, went to a party, somebody got murdered at the party that they went with, and they went to prison for life for just being in the same environment as them.
He is certainly R.I.P. Rest in penises. That's not it. He's dead. So yeah, we don't have to worry about that anymore. He is dead. Deaderino, deaderuski.
And yet we have somebody responsible for nearly 400 child deaths, and that's even a possibility.
Not anymore.
You see, to me, the fact that we would even be able to have that conversation shows a complete disregard for the reality of child murder in these situations and countries. Because that is what we're talking about, isn't it? In the UK, in the USA, in Australia, in Canada, you would never get to walk the streets again. You really wouldn't. You'd be held at Her Majesty's pleasure, and in other countries for similar states of reason, forever. Because you cannot cure somebody who has gone about their business as a full-time job murdering and mutilating children. It is so powerfully distressing to me that I can end this particular conversation with you with that even being on the table. Now, arguably, they say that people who murder children are taken very seriously. But for me, how can we even have a potential parole date? And remember, this guy, he's clever, he's manipulative, he behaves well. He knows how to act in a way that arguably makes people feel that he's quite charming.
I don't think he's acting anymore. Unless the man knows how to act like this forever. Because he's dead. That boy dead. And I'm going to keep harping on the fact that he is deaderuskis. That man, I hope, after he died, they were like, I wonder what a man who murdered 400 children's body would smell like after we Molotov cocktail it. And then they were like, let's just give it a try. And they did. I mean, who cares? Who cares? Louis Garavito. Oh. This is the best chance you had, bud. Because the next life, that's the one you're definitely going to be punished in. Oh. Oh, buddy.
So there is a possibility, isn't there, that this snake, this human chameleon who can move and slither between localities, could easily strike again
No.
if he ever got the opportunity to be free.
He cannot.
That's what keeps me up at night.
You can sleep
The
soundly.
fact that we still, in our apparently modern world, can have these catastrophic, devastating human beings, even with a line in their sentence suggesting that they would ever be allowed to walk the streets again.
He's not
because
walking.
If he ever gets out, he's gonna murder more kids.
He will be pushed through the streets in his coffin because that motherfucker dead.
As it was what he loved, thrived, and enjoyed more than anything else. And for me, it's almost difficult enough just to imagine the fact that he'll still enjoy the fantasies in his mind. You know, you can't take those memories away, can you? I wish we could. I wish we could rip those memories and fantasies from his mind, but we can't. And he'll replay them and replay them anyway. You know, those victims are violated every time he thinks about them. But at least when he's locked up, no other child is going to befall the same fate.
Technically, he is locked up right now. He's locked up inside of a wooden box, buried 6 to 10 feet deep. 6 feet deep. Or is it 10 feet deep? I usually bury my victims 10 feet deep.
Terror that those poor, innocent, already at times destitute children befell. Oh, it's terrifying. I needed to cover that today because it was mind-blowing. And I've actually been finding out quite a lot more about foreign crimes, and it is shocking. You know, he isn't the only one with that kind of body count. If you've enjoyed today in a weird kind of way, please make sure that you subscribe. I really enjoy seeing your comments. Obviously, a lot of you will have a lot to say about this. Please let me know what you think. Do you think that psychopaths are born or created? Do you think it's a mix of both? Are you as shocked as I am about the beast?
I don't know if anyone's contributed to this, but I'm just going to go ahead and add that. God is great. And comment. Back to the video.
Did you know about this case? Do you know any more information about it? If so, please do comment, like,
Honestly, so I was just told this. What time is it? About an hour and a half ago. I just heard the name for the first time from a girl I was talking to.
Involved below. And I'll see you again next Sunday, same time, same place, with another True Crime with Emma Kenny. Also, just to let you know, I've got a UK tour, so if you want to come and see me at a theatre in the UK, please do. Tickets are on sale. And I also have a free app called Appy. It's all about wellness, kind of different to crime, but if you need some help with your mental, physical, nutritional, or...
Okay, we're going to go ahead and just... She's plugging, so we'll just end it there. As you can see, I got really happy when I got to announce that he was dead. And hopefully my comment isn't removed. My account's banned. I can just see somebody going, well, that's not right. You shouldn't be happy that a serial killer who killed up to 400 children is dead from cancer. That's just very disrespectful. I can see somebody saying that. I'll let you know if my comment gets any backlash. All right, so we're going to end this here. I'm going to cover something a little bit lighter next time. Until next time, have a good day, have a good night.